Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this special weekend edition of the Unity Code. Now, this is special because I normally keep my boundaries crystal clear on the weekends because I work like a dog all week long on all the things, all day, all night, don't sleep. This is pretty usual for me with my family, and this is how my brain works. I love what I do, and so I spend so much time doing it. So, this is a special edition for me to create this podcast episode and release it on the weekend, mainly because Spirit has made space for me to do this. And normally they are removing things from my plate to rest. And I know that they've removed things from my plate today on Saturday, in December, no less, when everything is crazy and busy, to record this podcast episode because I know this is something that you all need to hear. Now, this is probably going to be one on the shorter side, but it's a follow up from the episode last week on clearing out and getting us ready for the closing of a 9-year and the entrance into a 1 year. And this is coming after my first free activation class for the 2026 portal. If you haven't signed up, the first free class is freaking unreal. I think I'm gonna lock it down soon because I want people to be able to do the exercises and progress through the month. And I feel like if people join too late, they're not going to have enough time to progress through the month. So if you haven't signed up yet, I highly recommend it. I am going to lock it down so more people can't sign up, probably starting on the 15th. But I wanted to record this podcast episode with all of you to talk about the energetics that are around us every single day. And this is part of this 9 removal episode that I previously talked about because the energetics of your space hold you back. And no, I know that there's a lot of stuff on social media, a lot of things talking about clearing your space, saging. Heck, I've even posted about it many times, probably on this podcast as well as social media. But I really want to talk about the importance of doing it now and the importance of understanding how your space sets the tone for your energy in a much bigger way. Because I want to talk about, as we clear out old energy, as we go through our task list, as we go through our energetic internal list, and as we process everything that we've been through in the last 9 months, what may be lingering is not what you expect. And so, a little bit of a story time here for all of you. I already said I don't sleep. I don't sleep. I go to bed really late. I wake up really early. It's not good from a projector. It's going to bite me in the ass and catch up with me at some point. However, it has gotten to the point over the last few months where not only do I go to bed late and wake up early, but now I'm also having middle of the night panic attacks. Now, it's really interesting to me because I don't have a lot to panic about. So as I wake up in the middle of the night with these panic attacks, I don't know where they're coming from. It's not like, I'm doing what I love. My family loves me. I'm supported in all areas of my life. And so when these panic attacks surface in the middle of the night, my body is going to this nervous system breakdown and my brain is like, why am I doing this? What is the point? And it's like, my brain cannot override my body's energetic nervous system response in the middle of the night. And so even in my brain, I'm like, well, I know there's nothing wrong, even though my body is having this panic attack. And so I'm just going to distract myself scrolling on my phone, try to just ride through this energy so it doesn't bother me as much, right? And so eventually I'll scroll long enough that my eyes start drooping and I fall back asleep. And then I wake up in the morning and inevitably it's the same every single day where I'm like, why? There was nothing for me to be nervous about. There was nothing for me to worry about. Why did I wake up in the middle of the night thinking about it? Because I know when I wake up in the morning, my perspective is going to be completely different than what my body tried to give me a panic attack about the night before. And so it's a really interesting dynamic that I have gone through repeatedly to the point where I didn't know what to do about it besides continue to go to bed later. So hopefully I was so tired that the panic attack didn't wake me up. Realistically, that was my strategy. Probably not a good one. And so I started researching this. And well, hang on. First of all, Spirit gave me a solution. I'm going to get there in a bit. And then I wanted to research why. Why am I doing this? And so after and this all happened, by the way, after I had cleaned and saged my space. I talked about it, I think, last week in my social media account. Like, before you bring in your Christmas tree, sage your house, clear out the energy. And I did, and I saged my whole house and I cleared out the energy. And yet these panic attacks still existed. And my energy in my bedroom in particular was still really heavy. And it was really, really interesting. And so what I ended up doing was clearing out my closet, clearing out all of the clutter in my room, because I have drawers and things that are in there, and keepsakes from many years ago. And so I literally went through every single corner, drawer. It was a little bit of a Boston accent there. Every corner of my closet, up to even the top of it where I keep the storage of everything, like the old t-shirts from high school that you have. And I cleared everything out that was no longer aligned to this new version of me. And I'm going to pause there because I think it's really important to maybe give the science behind why it is so important to clear out the physical clutter from your house. And I knew this was subconsciously very important. I knew that my team had been telling me to clean and remove the clutter. And it's very ironic because I'm sitting in a space where, like, there's a closet behind me, and there is so much fucking clutter in that closet. And I know that's probably what I'm going to have to tackle next. But the spaces around us affect us so much more than we think. So I got to researching this. I wanted to understand, what is the science behind the clutter? And there were 4 different things that I was able to discover with this, which I inherently knew, but scientifically I wanted to figure out why does this happen. And so the first thing that popped up was the polyvagal theory. So this is essentially the idea that our nervous system is always scanning for safety. We all know we do that, right? We do that in rooms. We do that when we first meet them. But similarly, we do that with the space that we are in. If we are scanning and seeing clutter and seeing old items and seeing like chaotic things all around you, this will subconsciously register as not safe or not settled. And so if you're constantly around the same clutter, the same chaos, which at least is why I keep the door shut, so maybe I can't consciously see it, so it's okay, you're gonna end up having these slight little, I'm going to call them micro triggers, like micro triggers in your nervous system that just happen over and over and over again, and it's going to wear you down over time. In addition, no one is surprised, certainly not my husband, because he's the OCD clean freak in our house. There it is. That clutter equals cortisol, right? And so there was a UCLA home study that essentially uncovered that people who live in cluttered spaces had significantly elevated cortisol. Now, I know there's a big difference between correlation and causation. And for those of you that haven't heard that before, it doesn't mean that cluttered spaces cause cortisol, which is your stress hormone. It just means that those two are somehow correlated, right? Like if you have high cortisol, you may tend to have cluttered spaces. So there might be some other things at play as well, not just necessarily the cluttered space, but there is a correlation there with the cluttered space and the cortisol, right? In addition, we're talking about the cortisol, we're talking about our nervous system scanning. And so as your nervous system is scanning, as your cortisol is spiking, your brain is going to process all that stuff, right? So that is going to create a lot of cognitive and emotional overload in your system. Isn't that so interesting? So, because I think we talk a lot about the energetics of spaces, and the way that I've historically talked about it, which I still think is true, is that I think of energy. So if you go, for example, to somewhere like Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, right? And you go there, and the people that go there, I have not personally been there, but the people that go there, and same thing with Pearl Harbor, tend to describe the energy as really heavy, really unsettled, really, and I think that ding was, I'm going to have to go there. It is deep, it's dense, it's thick, it's heavy, it's probably not the highest or best vibration. And so the way that I have historically described energy, it's almost like, you know how your skin flakes off? It's so small you can't see it, it's microscopic, but that's how I feel energy is. I feel like energy flakes off of you all the time, just like dead skin, and it gets stuck and it settles, right? And I think that's true. And I think that's where the energy and intention of sage and Palo Santo and sound clearing, etc., can help raise the vibration of space. But you can't do that with physical fucking objects that you see and experience every day. Right? Right? And so what is so important for me to highlight, what was in my closet were my corporate clothes still hanging on the counter. It was still hanging on the hooks, right? Sorry. Well, they were kind of like all over the place. It was half of my closet. I mean, we're talking about 20 years of corporate America. We're talking about cardigans and sweaters and blouses from very expensive places. I'm talking about like a Hugo Boss, like suit and dress, right? Like these $500 suits that I bought during consulting times because I needed to look like I was an executive. I was an executive, but I had to play the part. And so I had these, thousands of dollars worth of designer clothes in my closet. In case you're ever wondering why you only see me in t-shirts and hoodies, everybody, that was my attire for 20 years. That was my misaligned fucking attire. That does not, me now. That's not me. So those had been sitting in my closet and I love them, right? And I adore those clothes. I love those clothes, but it's not me. I can Marie Kondo this shit. I can love them and appreciate their journey, but realize it's also not aligned to me. And so every day when I would go and pick out clothes, there were my corporate clothes. Every day. There were my probably 50 pairs of heels every day. And again, I love them. I'm not ready to let them go. But seeing that emotional clutter, seeing the energy tied to the corporate clothes that I literally wore for 20 years, you can't remove that energy because the physical object is still there. And so what I ended up doing was removing the corporate clothes from my closet. I kept some blazers because I like wearing blazers. Those are fine. But I removed the blouses that, give me the yuck, right? I put the heels away in a bin, and I know that I'm not ready to totally get rid of those yet. There's just something about them. I'm not ready yet. I probably will be, and by the time that maybe I want to wear some of those clothes again, I'll probably go put them on and they won't fit, or I'll look. I've had kids, like hips, everybody. And so I boxed them all up. I put them up at the top of my closet, nice and neat, right? Nice and respectful. And then I literally took what was shoved into half of my closet in the smallest space ever, which is the clothes that I actually love to wear. Like the shirt I'm wearing now, right? Like the badass bitch, cotton, comfortable clothing, the hoodies, the sweatshirts, the heated vests, right? The things that I truly love to wear because they're comfortable. And I'm sure there will be some sort of evolution in the future because I'm probably just swinging the pendulum the other way. I digress a little bit. But I was able to take those and spread them out and have it color coded, right? Have like all the whites, all the reds, all the yellows, all the greens, all the blues all put together, and not having, two different versions of my closet that is me and corporate me. I literally removed corporate me from my closet. And creating that space was not only literally happening, but it was happening the energy too, because once I removed the corporate energy, I literally had an entire closet that felt less stressed, less condensed, less chaotic, more open. I literally created an expansive space in my closet for me to be me, represented by my clothing. I have extra space in my closet, everybody. When does that ever happen? And so this is what I'm talking about clearing out the energy of the space, right? removing the things that no longer serve or represent who I am, because they are physical objects. Even if I sage it, it's not removed. The energy is still there, but I did tuck it away, put it out of sight, like put like this energetic seal on it that I'm not going to feel it anymore. And then not only did I remove it, because I think this is an important thing to call out, it's okay to remove energy, but you have to fill it up with this energy of what is highest and best aligned to you. And a lot of healers don't talk about this because I don't know if it makes a lot of sense to everybody, but if you're going through healing, if you're removing low vibration energy, you should always be filling it up with the highest and best vibration energy. And the reason is because like attracts like. That's a universal law, right? The universal law of attraction, like attracts like. So if I remove low vibration energy and I don't fill it up, and it's essentially this void. And what is that void going to do? It's going to suck in the same energy that I just removed, because I haven't transmuted that energy of the space. I've only removed the old energy, but I haven't replaced it. And so when you remove energy, you need to replace it with high vibrational energy. So what I did in my room is I made an altar. And this is wild to me because I've been doing this work for years, but all of my metaphysical stuff is in the room I'm sitting in right now. It's in my office, right? It's in my workspace. I haven't really ventured it out into the other areas, though maybe a couple crystals here and there, but not much for the most part. But instead, what I did was I took the books I love. I took the tarot cards that I only read for me. Yeah, I have those too. I took some of my most treasured crystals, my most treasured metaphysical objects, and I created an altar in my room. Not only that, I took the moon water, which I have collected since the very beginning of my metaphysical journey, so has all of the moons in that moon water. I put a plant up there because it needed a plant. And by the time I was done compiling and bringing all these things together upstairs, I noticed inadvertently, completely accidentally, I had brought objects from all four elements: earth, fire, water, air. And I'll tell you what, that energy transformed the space. Removing the old version of me, replacing it with an altar of all the things I love that represent me now, completely changed the energy and vibration in my room. Isn't that wild? Isn't that wild? And now I know I was also researching chi, right? The universal energy out of Asia. I'm not sure which specific culture, because I'm not as versed in that. I'm so sorry, everybody. But I know that there's like chi and prana, right? Life force energy. And I read that chi tends to get stuck in the corners of the room. Exactly where I put the altar was the corner of the room that felt the deepest, the darkest, the heaviest. And so I literally removed all of that energy and replaced it with something that represents the highest and best energy of me, and it changed the whole energy of the room. Now, I haven't woken up in a panic attack since. I feel more calm, more relaxed. My shoulders are dropping as I'm talking about this. And so I know for a fact that the physical environments that we are in are going to greatly impact our energy as well. And so I wanted to make this whole podcast episode so that you thought about this too, especially as we're moving again from a 9-year into a 1-year. Take a look around. I mean, I think this time of year is absolutely perfect, if you have time to do so, to start decluttering, removing. Like we are, at least up here in the Northeast, and those of us in the northern climates, we're kind of stuck in the house for the next 6 months, for the most part. And so what a great opportunity to just take an hour a week to just go through, and 2 hours a week to just go through and start decluttering and releasing and releasing and releasing. And what amazing way. And I love this Marie Kondo idea, because you can give it to somebody who's going to value and appreciate it, because the things that you've outgrown are the things that people are starting to go through. So it would be lovely if I could take all of my corporate clothes and donate them to a woman that's coming out of college, a woman that maybe is having a fresh start. Maybe she's just trying to get a job. Maybe there's women's shelters I can donate those clothing to and give them new life. My team in my head just said, that's exactly what you should do with those. Because we don't have to give the crap that we buy on Amazon, everybody. We don't have to give new things. We can give things that honor our loved ones in the next version of themselves, strangers with the next journey they have, and giving them things that help them prepare for that journey. That is what we should be doing as a society, is helping people out in that way. And so that's really what I wanted to get on here and talk about, is how clearing your space can be part of your transformation this month. And I know I'm going to set aside time. We've already cleaned out another closet this morning. I'm going to set aside time like every week to just clean one more thing. Maybe I'll do a room a week or a room a day. You know, this will take me obviously all winter freaking long. Because with little kids, there's so much clutter. Not that my kids are little, but with kids, there's so much clutter. And so as you're going around, you know, maybe it's as small as identifying a thing a day that no longer represents you, and gifting it, giving away, throwing it away if there is no additional life use in it. And don't be afraid to honor it and thank it for serving its purpose, and then letting it go because it's helped you become the person that you are today. Because you can't bring in new energy without releasing the old energy and making space for that new energy. So when you clear your space, you're going to clear your path forward. And I have to tell you, I know it takes a few hours to clean sometimes it's days, right? But being able to be done with a space that has been cluttered and causing you that additional lower vibration energy is an instant change, like instant vibrational increase going forward. It's like a permanent change. Isn't that so cool? So there you go, everybody. That is our Saturday special edition of the Unity Code. I do want to say next week I am going to focus more onto your evolution. I want to talk about evolution a little bit and why it's so important that we are also similarly honoring all different versions of us. So stay tuned for that as we continue our journey from a 9-year into a 1 year. And again, don't forget to sign up for that activation portal out there. It's on my website so that you can get the full boat experience of energetic clearing and transmissions and activations from my team. All right, I'm sending you all the love. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I'll see y'all next week. Take care.